Oh, so- Hello.
Yeah,
Hey, Sundar.
yeah. I
I was
think
about to ask
we
something.
can. I think we can
Yeah.
start.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So let's switch off my video.
That's fine, Swami.
Hmm?
Okay. So we are live. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever locations you have been joined now. So we are excited to host our fifth edition of ng-Keralam. In this event, we are going to have hands-on development of a bookstore application using MeanStack. So before getting into our session, let me give some introduction about our community and also about our speaker. So what is ng-Keralam? So before getting into the ng-Keralam, let me give you a small introduction about Talkify. So Talkify is a technical community formed with an aim to share and gain knowledge on various technologies across various experts around the world. And ng-Keralam is a dedicated community from Talkify. We host every month every month last Saturday an Angular event from ng-Keralam. So that's it. ng-Keralam is, and let me share a few details about our speaker. Our special guest today is Vishwanatha Swami, and he is a developer. And one thing which I admire from him is he is a regular community contributor. He contributes in various communities. He is Shisha Corner MEP, and also he learns everything and he shares those with many of us through the various communities. So, without much delay, I let's give the sessions to our speaker. So, over to you, Swami.
Hey, thanks so much, Sundar and Suhas. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to talk. And thanks, guys, for signing in on Saturday. And what we are going to learn today. I'm a community speaker. I work at Applied Information Sciences in Hyderabad. And I speak in many communities, and at least one or two sessions I do every week. So that's my passion. So as Sundar introduced, that I learn different technologies, and recently this is my first session in Angular mean stack, but I did more than 50 to 60 sessions in multiple technologies. So bear with me if I'm doing anything wrong, as this is my first session in mean stack. And thanks so much, Sundar, again for giving me an opportunity. Okay, let's start. What are we going to do today? So today we are going to build a app, everything from
I
scratch.
Sorry to
Oh,
interrupt, Swami. Can you
I
share
need
it?
to share. I'm sorry. I thought that I'm sharing my screen and I'm going on. Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
So what are we going to learn today? So if you see that we are going to build a app in MeanStack, and what do we have at this point of time? At this point of time, if you see that we do not have anything in our plate. I mean, we are starting our uh, empty slate. We are starting with our empty slate, and we will build it. Okay, entire source code will be in the Git repository. That will be here in Vishipylor. It will be in speaker series, and inside this Talkify, there will be another folder with the name today's date. If you see that, it will be with today's date. So all the files will be there. So please feel free to grab it to make your hands dirty. Okay, coming back to the session, what we are going to do is we are going to build it. So the Mongo, we selected the mean stack. So the MongoDB is hosted in Atlas. It's a free version I'm using. It's a free tier. So I logged into my MongoDB account, and here we'll come and revisit. First, I'm giving you the entire stack run through, and then we will go. Okay. The next thing what we will do is we'll spend some time starting building an Node.js, a web API with a Node.js Express. Okay. So we'll start with the hello world of the web API, which is pretty much this. We'll start from this and we'll grow. From that, initially we'll start with this. And from that, all the way we go till the reusable stuff, like we create a um, Node.js with all rules, and we'll have the routes in a separate folder, and we'll have persistence, we will have models, we'll have separate middlewares, we have controllers, we have configuration. I mean, everything will be organized. But initially, when we start in next 5 or 10 minutes, this is the API which we start with. We'll have this API. From here, we convert ourselves into organizing these into separate folders, separation of concerns, and single responsibilities. And we'll dig deeper over the period of next one hour. We have a lot of time, so we'll go step by step. And in between, what we will do is once we start developing this API, will introduce Postman, how Postman can help us, and what are Postman environments, and why do I need to create environment variables, and what are Postman collections, how those Postman collections will help me and other team members. I mean, there are a lot of tools. Some people will use OpenAPI. Okay, so Swagger, a lot of other tools are there. It's not that definitely someone need to use it, but we'll today talk on that Postman. And then we'll start with Angular 10 UI. So that will be again a plain vanilla hello world. We'll start with there, and then we'll create this application, the bookstore application. That's the dashboard. And then we'll have CRUD operations, like we'll create an ad, and we'll create a list, we'll create edit, and we'll create delete. And this quick look at the Postman collection. So again, if you see the web app, initially we'll start with nowhere, and then we'll start organizing our files, reorganizing. In between, we'll do a lot of mistakes, and then come back and learn those mistakes. Okay, some of the things are being done in a way. Some things will be done in multiple ways, but we have chosen one way. Okay, it's not the only way we can do, but we can do it in multiple ways. Okay, once we develop to a decent extent a couple of pages, and we see how we create different components, how we integrate that and bind it, everything, then we will start communicating with Node.js. So now the Angular talking to the Node.js, and again we'll face some problems. Then we'll come and fix it. At last, quickly we'll quickly touch base on that just test cases and see how we can write the just test cases and how can we get the coverage report. What is covered, what lines are not covered, and why are we doing this just cases. So if you we'll come and we'll revisit that. So okay, so let's start creating first web API. And what we decided is because this is a 2 hours long session, so we might accept questions every half hour. We can take one short break, or every 1 hour we can take one quick 5 to 10 minutes break to address any questions. If at all something which is on priority questions, we can definitely stop, or we can take questions at the end of the session. And if I'm unable to answer any query, I will definitely revisit that query and post it in Talkify Meetup group. Okay, if I'm not able to answer anything on this call in live, but definitely I will go back and get the answers for that, chase it, and revisit that. Okay, thank you so much, and let's start. So what do we have? We have nothing in our plate right now. Let's start creating one by one. Mm, okay, just for the sake, I will check in the initial version so that we'll know that what do we have that. Okay. uh, so you guys know where the code will live, so that we can purely focus on. Okay, here is a Talkify. So this is the one. So bookstore means tag 20 September. This is a URL where you will see all the files coming in. At this point of time, we don't have any code. We will start. By end of the session, we have a lot of we'll have a lot of code for sure. Okay, so that has been opened up there, and let me open up a new folder here. That is the web app. So at this point of time, we do not have anything else except these two. So mostly the approach what we will be doing throughout the session is we will be seeing most from the hands-on perspective. It's like a workshop. We'll come back, we'll do some mistakes, and we'll come back and we'll learn. I'm sorry, let me have a water. Okay, instead of spending time on theoretical stuff, because we see a lot of things are available, but we will start learning. Okay, so from the point one perspective, one by one we will chase it now. So from the point one perspective, we will see that the Mongo has been created in Mongo Atlas, which is giving us a free tier for us to play. I really like this Mongo Atlas. And here we have the collections. We'll see that. We'll see that collections. And another couple of points we have to see at this point of time. So let's focus on those. And here there are different collections are there. One of the, I mean, this is the database I created as a college, as a generic name. I took the generic name. And here we have a few records already there inside this bookstore. So I was playing with different samples. So our focus will be books on today. So this is the database, and this is the collection. Books is our collection. And apart from this, what we will be doing today is we'll learn some of the other things. So if you see from the network access perspective, when you create this Mongo Atlas, it does not mean that it will be accessible throughout the world. No, we have to explicitly whitelist our IP from which we need to do. And if you're hosting your backend, if you're hosting your backend from somewhere in Azure, so we need to open up that IP range, Azure or Google or Amazon Cloud, whatever the cloud we are working. We need to unblock or whitelist that. And if you want to allow from anywhere, we have to whitelist this. And so at this point of time, if you observe this screen carefully, uh, it is showing two buttons. It is showing add current IP address and allow access from anywhere. So that means my current IP address has changed. So how do I know that my current IP address is changed is, so what is my IP? So if you type what is my IP, it is 223.230.71.153, which is not available in here. So my ISP's IP has changed now, the router's IP. So if I try to access, so it will not, because let's see, this is a good scenario. We faced our first problem. We should be thankful to God that he has given a real-time scenario for us to check that. So I mean, we will come back because I already created the running version that will help us in quickly validating these few of the things. So it is trying to connect to MongoDB, which it will not be able to connect, and it will throw an exception. So this is a good scenario. Thank God IP has changed. If not, we wouldn't be able to see this until unless we go and remove the existing IP address. So let's give it a minute. So it is trying pretty hard to connect, and at last it says that error connecting to cloud Mongo. So it was unable to cloud. It was unable to connect it, and it is giving us a clue also. It says that Atlas go and whitelist that. Okay, that's a good scenario. So let me stop this and I'll come in here. I don't need it now, this one, because anyways, this is it's not my current IP address. So I will click on this add IP address, and I'm telling add current IP address. So I will Swami's home on 26 September. This was a pretty good scenario. We got it. So it's adding up. So let it add. In the meanwhile, let's come and see the data access perspective. So I have created a data access, which I do refresh my password after every demo I do, so that even if I flash my username password, it will not affect. At this point of time, you can see that the password has been already. I have captured the password and kept it in a file. And if I want, I can go and edit this, or I will delete and recreate a new password, so that every time after the demo I will recreate the new password. Okay, so from this, what did we understand from the point one is we have hosted our MongoDB in Atlas cloud, and this is a free tier, and it's very good for us to start exploring different options. How can we connect? And there are a lot of other options. You can see that it gives the connection string, which you can use it. Choose how do you want to connect, whether through the Mongo shell or connect to your application, or you use that Mongo Compose. So here, if you see this, what kind of programming language you're using, whether it's a C# or Node.js or something, and then what is the version, and it gives you the connection string, so which you can copy and modify. So that's the point 4. So we learned quite a few points in this. We learned how this collections are hosted in cloud, and what is the name. We will have under the collection, we'll have database, and under the database we have different collection, and each collection will have different items. So we have seen, because this is a free tier, uh, we should be thankful that they're giving us a free tier for us to make our hands dirt and learn a lot of things. um, and here we have a lot of these books and everything. Okay, so that's there. And one more point is we can come and we can do this filtering and all those things, and we can edit or copy or delete. We can do those kind of operations here, but it's just for us to understand what this MongoDB and what it is offering. So we came and learned this. And the next important point, what did we learn is, if you go to that overview, and then we can see all these things, what is primary, what is secondary. And if you want the connection string, you can come to connect and choose what is the method or mode you want to connect. And for us, it makes sense, we are connecting through the application, so this is the one which we use it. And the next thing we saw, what is this data access, where we create this different users, and you can refresh your password here, create a new password, okay, and or you can delete and refresh new password. And network access is the one which will whitelist the IP from which you want to access this. Okay, now if you open this dialog, you will not see the second button. Previously, when we came in here, we saw two buttons: allow our IP address and allow anywhere. But now that this IP address matches with what's my IP, when these two things are matching, that means it will not trouble us anymore, and it will show only single button. So that's one more point to note. Whenever you're coming in there, you can see this, these two things are matching. So now if you try to click on that add IP address, it will not show that. It asks if you have some range, you can add it, but it will not show the other dialog. Okay, so now, well, let's quickly come back here. This is the fully baked application. Now let's connect it. So we are going to build this every bit and piece from scratch. The only thing is, some things we do it with coding, something we copy paste from this fully baked application, but this one, now you can see that. So initially we started with a very good use case, how we can recognize what is this connection string, how it is happening, all those things. Okay, that's good, pretty good. So let's start from the scratch. Let's coming in here, and this is the one I keep this. Let me close all these things and only open up this web API folder, so that we will have all those things ready here with us. Okay, one by one we can do that. So initially we'll go and start with npm init. We don't have anything at this point of time, so I'll just create one folder. Okay, src, this just one folder we have created, and we do not have anything from this. Okay, so npm init. Okay, first initially we'll start with these kind of fundamentals, and then we can run a little faster. Okay, so I will use the same name, and version 1.0.1. We don't need simple node.js plus express plus mongodb web API. Okay, entry point, let it be. We are going to modify that in a moment. Okay, cool. So it has got this package.json, right? So we can come and quickly see that it just creates. We are going to modify this. Just hold on for a moment. Okay, we have this package.json, and then what we will do is simply we'll go and start with this express. We'll install. We don't need to type complete install. All we can say is npm i express is a package which we are installing, because I'm majorly from C# background. So whenever I see package, I immediately use NuGet package. Okay, just excuse me if I use NuGet package, but what my intention is the npm package. Okay, so first thing is we have added this express package, and after adding this express package, what we will do is we will add one. We'll use the same index JS or app.js. We'll use it. I'll create a new file over here. I say that app.js, and just grab these 3 lines and start this. Okay, I paste this here, and we'll start one by one. Let's do it, right mouse click and format document. One of the extension which I'm using is this, which does this beautiful bracket colorizer. So even if you have multiple things, if you place this, it highlights that in a different color. You see these two things are coming in little bit of purple, and this one is coming in yellow. And like if you see, this is yellow and this is purple and this one is blue. So each of us, it highlights in a different color, which will be more of a visualizer effect for us to find out if we are missing anything. Okay, so that's being said. So you can see this prettier over here. So that's one of the thing which does this formatting. Even if I have done the code like this, I always come in here and do a format. It automatically organizes for me. Okay, that being said, what we can do is we have the package.json, and we don't have anything to run, so we need to have the script. Under script, we need to add this start scripts. So I do is we'll talk about a concept and come, and we will copy paste few things just to understand that we are not I'm not doing any fat finger, and again I do some mistake and we have to spend hours together to come and investigate what is happening. Okay, we don't do this at this point of time. So first we will do node and app node, and let's start with app.js. Okay, now the server is running in 3000. Okay, server is running in 3000. I can quickly go to that Postman, and let me close all these things. Let me go back to no environment and open, and HTTP localhost port 3000. And I mean, you can use different tools. I'm telling, we are following one of the way. So okay, we have listening to the server, but we don't have any route map to this one. So one of the simplest route what we can map is, we can go to this and have a simple and the default route. Okay, so let's start building from here. And I mean, we'll modify a lot of things. Okay, we'll modify lot of things in next couple of hours. So this is the simple one. We are saying get. I mean, occasionally we'll come and we'll check this one. We'll come back what we are doing, what you're doing here. We'll come and we'll learn. Initially we'll touch base what we are doing. First we'll see practically what it is, and then we'll come back and revisit. So now that we have started the server, but we didn't have any endpoint. So that was our first mistake. So we fixed our first mistake, and then we'll quickly go and I type API, and when I click that, what is that? Server is running on Express. Okay, it's listening on this port. Localhost. Okay, so one second. Not okay. 1 second. That's it. We just listen to the port. We don't need to do anything. Okay, 1 second. Let's come back here, and we use this instead of that. Okay, we use the port number, and so let's grab that port number here. Okay, we'll start with the port number. Let me stop this. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't stop that. It was my mistake. I'm sorry, it was my mistake. Why it didn't show up? We don't need this. Okay, even though we added, I didn't stop. So now, okay, it's not a web API, it's app. It's app. Okay, it was my mistake. I didn't stop the server. So now it is there. If I come back and hit that, we will see that. So now this is another good use case. So we will do some mistakes, we'll learn from our mistakes, and we'll build on top of that. Now every time I do one change, I need to stop the server and then I need to start the server. So that is not making sense. So who is there for our rescue? This guy, Nodemon, is there for our rescue. Okay, and that Nodemon, we will install it now, npm i-d Nodemon. So that's as a dev dependencies. We don't need to have it on the server, but when we are executing in the dev dependencies, we need that. Okay, so from now onwards, we already have this start script there. So we can do npm start. Now, okay, npm start. So it should be this app should be inside this. So I will move this inside the source and I will change this to app. So I will change this to app, and I do rs if I want to restart. What is that? It says that. Okay, it's not. No. So it is app.js and npm start. So when I am doing npm start, it is watching the app.js. It's coming and hitting this line, and it starts. It starts with the Nodemon, and it starts it here. And we'll come here and click on this. We see this one. Okay. So what I can do now is I can pretty well do some modification, something like this. Message. Okay, I did that. Now I don't need to restart the server. As in previously, when we executed with Node, even though we added this route, it didn't pick up until unless I stopped the node and again I restart, it didn't pick up this default route. And now we are using the Nodemon, which monitors this for changes. Now you can see that it's beautifully formatted in the JSON format. Okay, that's the second point which we have learned today. Okay, so apart from this, what all the things which we are going to support? So we can quickly come back here and go to the documentation and open the preview. So for the dashboard, we don't need any endpoint. For adding, we need an endpoint. For book list, we need an endpoint. For editing, we need an endpoint. For delete, we need an endpoint. So that means get all, get by ID, add, edit, and delete. So we need these 5 routes. So how the routes should be? So the route should be something. Route should be something like this. We have API/books. Okay, this should give us all the books. And if I say books by ID, that means give me one book from this set of books, and here is an ID. And edit, again I will send this as part of the route or from this object also, inside the body, whatever the parameters which we are sending. So we have to pass in, and again edit and delete. If you see that, let's start having those routes now quickly. So let me come back here and spin up those routes. Those are the default routes, and these are the book routes. Okay, these are the book routes. So if you come in and say this, we should have a route called books. Okay, this is all books. All books. Okay, this is all books. So if I come in here and I tell that this is the book, and I'll copy this URL, go to another tab, and I will tell that books. So that means it should give me all books. Okay, so we have 2 routes. So let's have another route. I mean, this is, we are using only temporary, so we'll start modifying things left, right, and center. Okay. So the other things is, and apart from this, I want the ID of a book. So if I give ID of a book, I should return a single book. So I should return a single book. So if I take this and put it here and send some ID, so that should give me the books and ID. Okay, so that should give me single book. And apart from that, if I go and add a book, okay, I need to add a book. At that time, I will go and do a post on that, and we are book added. We'll write that book added. Okay, so again I can come in here and change to post, and again we need to send body and other things, but let's see that at least we have all the routes. Then we'll start moving further into layers. Okay, so we have post, we have get all, we have get by ID. And similarly for this get by ID, we need to have the same structure for edit also. Okay, and here we can use put, assuming that you are going to modify the entire object or entity, and patch, you're doing partial updates. Okay, so that's a put. So we are saying that book updated, and we can have another route with delete, and we can say that book deleted. Okay. At this point of time, whatever the statuses which we are sending is not the true statuses. Once we'll move the code to respective layers, then we'll understand that. Okay, at this point of time, blindly I'm sending 200, which is not the good thing. It's a bad thing, but we are doing just to have everything in place. It's a foundation right now. So let's come back and organize ourselves. This is the post. Sorry, this is the get all books. So before that, we need one for post. So let's organize our tabs also in the same manner how we are having the routes. So this is the default route, and this is get all, this add book, and this is get all books, and this is get book by ID. And similar thing we need is for post, where we want to go and update a particular record. So we do that book updated, and one thing we need it for edit or delete. The patch is we are not using patch, we are using put, but when we are doing put, we need to ensure that we are modifying the entire object. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Now we'll come back here. And the second point we will learn is, here we are using this port. I'm hard coding it here. Now, what if tomorrow I change this to 5,000, 3,005 instead of that, instead of 3,000, now I have changed it to 3,005. And oh God. So instead of that, I changed it to 3,005. Now what is happening is, right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 tabs. I need to go and modify this in every tab, which is not at all making sense, isn't it? Imagine it's the 6 tabs. I'm okay. We can do that. Imagine we have 20 tabs, or because in real time you'll have nearly 15 to 20 and plus more, sometimes 50 or 100 endpoints you have in an enterprise level application. doesn't make sense for us to go and change port every now and then. So who is there for our rescue? So there's a guy here. We can go and add an environment. So I will create an environment called Talkify. I create an environment called Talkify, and I web API URL. Okay, this is the one which I'm calling it as web API URL, and then I will come and get the initial URL and post it here. Okay, http colon localhost colon 3005. Okay, so now I click on add, and let me close this, and then I select that Talkify as my environment. So here what I will do is, instead of this big thing, whatever is here, I will remove that double curly web API URL. Okay. Now if you mouse over on that, you clearly see that it is pointing to the value which we have specified there. Now all we can do is we can quickly come in here and start removing the first portion of the FQDN of the API, and start using this syntax. We'll start using it, and cool. We'll start using this. Perfect. So if you come in here, it's good. It's coming in. Here it's coming in. Okay. Now I changed my mind. I go back and I modify. I want now the server to run in 306. Okay. So now this is the problem which we are going to fix in next. Next. Okay. Okay. So now if you go and hit, it doesn't work because now it's running on 3006. So what we can do is pretty well, we can come in here and modify this. Okay. 3006. Cool. So that's done. Now you don't need to change. Every URL will work. Now you saw the advantage of having those environments. Now you don't need to change anything. Anytime there is a change, all you have to change is one location. That's in this variable. Okay. Let's revert it back to 3005. Okay. So the next problem what we are facing is like this. We'll face a lot of problems and we'll learn from our problems. So that will be the pretty much good fundamentals. Okay. And the next thing what we want to do is we will create an .env file. Okay, .env file. This is an environment file which holds all the secrets. Like it's like an app.settings kind of stuff. Okay, so for that we need to have another package. So I always, as I was mentioning in initially, I would like to steal code. Okay, so that it will be easy for me to copy paste instead of me going and doing some fat finger. Okay, so let me install this .NET env quickly. Come and install this .NET env npm i .NET env. Okay, cool. Once the .NET env is done, so I will go back and grab those values from the config.env file. I will grab this port and this both. Okay, now I'll come back. I don't need this guy env at this point of time. Now I can come back to this app.js, and for that to work, I mean, we should never use this var. We should use let and const variables. We are going to fix it. It's a temporary. All this is there. It's just a temporary. We have already started seeing those outputs. Now we will fly. Okay, just 2 minutes. We'll fly in 2 minutes. So we will do this. We'll load this .NET config. We'll have this. Okay, and we'll call this method .NET env conf. And then we will go and add this syntax over here just before wherever we are launching the port. Instead of hard coding, we'll use this port over here, and the message which was there, that we will change it. So now dynamically it will tell that on which port the server is running. So let me format that. Okay. So now what did we do? We did a couple of things. We added a NuGet package and we created a .env file, and we'll store all our secrets in this .env file. And in the app.js, we have referenced this .env, and we have invoked this config. We'll see that in a moment what other changes will come in, because at this point of time I put it here at this top location, and then we will organize in respective folders. Okay. And other change what we did is we have accepting this port. If at all there is environment variable, this is not defined, so at that time we will come and use this as a backup plan. So if 4004 is not there, then use 3005. Okay. So now npm start, and we are seeing that the port, it's not 3005, it is reading from .env. Okay. And then the process.env.port, and it has been accepted, and that port is being displayed. Now everything is dynamic. Now tomorrow if I change something, I don't need to touch any single line, and all I can do is, previously I used to hard code or type it, and if I want to quickly check something from the browser, all I need to do is control click, come back here, and then I say API. How quick it is. Okay. Chalo. So that being said, we have done quite a few things. Now we need to fly. So the next, okay, let's hold on here for 1 more minute. So now the env is there hanging around. So the best thing to do is we have to push that down into the layers. So let's create a folder called config. Here inside the source, I create a config and move this env file into this config file. Okay. And the best practice to do is just you need to give the example, because you are not going to check in that env. You need to give the sample env file to the entire world, because they are not going to see what is your connection string and other things. So what your connection string, so that's what you will tell, and port number, which is okay, you can keep it. So if you come and see the source perspective also, if it is there, so immediately what you need to do is right mouse click and add it to the git ignore file. So that should not go. Okay. That env file should never get checked into the repository, because that holds secret. Now if you check in that into the source control, it's no more secret, right? So you will have a sleepless nights. So let's avoid that. Okay. Chalo, that being said, let's execute one more time real quick. npm start, and see, it says that port is undefined. Hey, we have the class, we created the file. Now the port, it says undefined, and it is listening on 5003. Can come in here and I can see this, it's listening on the 5003. Let me go and check API. So it's listening on the 5003. Okay, anyways, because that's what we are using in the Postman. Let us change that. Let me go to that env and change this to 3005. And here in the app.js, let me change to 4004. So now I need to, because when you change the env, at that time there are no other option. You have to stop the Nodemon and you need to start. When you do any change in somewhere in the source code, you don't need to stop the Nodemon. But when you change anything in the environment variable that gets picked up at the starting of this app, then you need to go and modify that. Now you see that it is taking this 4004, which is an alternative one. So what did we do? It's not picking up. So we'll come in here, and in the server, we see that if at all this .NET conf, it is picking up from the, by default, it will be in the same location as in the package JSON. If you have some other path, so we need to explicitly call this out. So what we have to do is, instead of the regular .env call, whatever we did it, we need to load it from a particular location. So what I'm saying this, now stop this. Okay, so whatever we are saying, this process, go to that current working directory, and inside that current working directory, go to this source, go to this config, and go grab it. Okay, so let's start that. What? Error path not defined. Okay, path is the NuGet package. I missed it. I missed that path and NuGet package. 1 second. That reference, I need to go grab this guy. Hold on. Here, just before that. Just before that, I do this. Okay, so now see this, it is picking up from that env. So now we don't need env, we can very well close this. So now we know that where to parameterize and everything. Okay, that's pretty good. So once that being said, the next thing what we will do is we will go one level deeper. So I'll create a folder called routes. Okay, I'll create a folder called routes, and let's organize these routes. At this point of time, what is happening is this app.js, this is getting cluttered with hundreds of routes, so which is not good. So let's start organizing that. So we'll do in bunch, in big pieces now. Okay, so what we will do is we'll do a couple of things. We'll split whatever is happening in app.js into app.js and server.js. We'll split this between these two, and I'll tell you why. And the next thing is we will start with the routes first. Okay, and then we'll start looking into these folders one by one, but let's start with this routes folder, and I will create a route. Okay, bookrouter.js. Okay, so in this bookrouter.js, what we will do is whatever the routes which we had it here, all the book routes will go grab and push it one layer down. Okay, so if you see this one in this book router, it's all the book routes has been is coming from here. Okay, in this router, we will create the express, and we'll add all these routes, and we will add it here in this router. So we can push this one layer, and then we will start with that. So first we will not organize in that fashion, but we will do in a raw fashion, and then we will start doing it. Okay, at this point of time, I'm going to move all these things from here, okay, to the book router, because that's where it should exist. Okay, so I move that everything from here, and we don't need this router here, except this we will import this book router, and we'll start using that book router here. So rest everything we can push it down to that router. Okay, we'll start making everything. Okay, and the second thing is as we discussed, we'll split this code between app and server. Why do we need to do that is when you want to do the unit testing of this app, if you listen from your app, you might not be able to go and unit test that. So for that reason, I read in a documentation they told to split between app and server 2 files. So that's what I'm following this one. Okay, so let's start splitting this app.js into two different pieces, and we'll take it from there. So what should be there in app? So inside the app, it should have this application, and you need to have this express, and you can attach any other middleware. This course will come back in half an hour. Then we will use this. Now we'll speak about the middleware in a moment. And express is there. Some people will use body parser, and again, it's your choice whether you want to use the express.json or body parser. Okay, whatever best works for you. You can go ahead on that one. Okay, before that, we will see that what is this Morgan logger. So we'll go and add this middleware. So this is Morgan logger is one of the npm package. Let's see that npm. Okay, so that's for this .env. So zero dependency loading environments, you'll use that. And there's something known as a Morgan logger. So that's the one which is a middleware for logging mechanism. See, every method you hit it, it should log. Like you see in IIS, where it traces every request, and it will tell that what happened, what was the method, what was the endpoint, what was the status which we sent it, and how many bytes did we send it. Oh, it's for that. Okay, so let's quickly go grab this guy, Morgan, and we'll start. Okay, let's do a little bit big now this time. So I'll install npm Morgan, and instead of doing bits and pieces, let's do a little bit faster. I mean, we will not miss any concept. We will come and we will cover all the concept. But I just wanted to ensure that we are not losing on anything. Okay, so we have chalk. We'll use this chalk. Happy I will come and we'll talk on those. Let me grab all those NuGet packages. I can do one by one npm install and npm install. It will take a lot of time, so I am grabbing it here real quick, so that we can save a little bit of time. So just is dependency format document. Okay, so .env is already there, and Express is already there, and what else is there? Morgan is already there, and is there a chalk? Okay, so 1 second. Let me go grab this guy and add it here. Okay, that shows the squiggly comes because I didn't do npm I, because I need to install, because those node modules doesn't exist for these things. So that's the reason it is showing that squigglies. So once everything is done, it goes. Okay, let's see that Happy Joy is there, Chalk is there, colors, and .env, Express, Mongo, Morgan. Okay, and apart from that, we need some of those dev dependencies. I grab everything from here and drop it into the dev dependencies, so that we will have everything. Okay, so npm I. So let's go grab. Now you see this, all those yellow squigglies are gone. Let's quickly do that, and we'll start building one by one. Because I just wanted to start with foundation, so that you will do some mistakes. Those are pretty fundamental, and it's very important thing. It's like a configuration. We do that mistake, and every time we do some change, we'll come and stop the server, start the server, and all those things. Okay, so while this is cooking up, let's see what are the things which we are going to do now. Okay, we'll do bits and pieces only. Okay, for the time being, let me bring back this router, so that we will see all the logger one which I want to show, which is very important. It's pretty important concept. So I just want to showcase that, and before we splitting. Okay, that we will do, and then we will do something related to the persistence also. So in the meanwhile, while it is bringing in those, let me create a couple of folders. One for the middleware. Okay, one for the middleware, one for the I need one for the middleware, and we need to have the persistence and models which we need to create it. But at least we'll start with the middleware initially. Okay, inside the middleware, we will create a file called logger, and let me create a file called logger, and inside that we are going and grabbing this. So what is this chalk? We'll see that in a moment. So Chalk is another package which is good to have the color on your console. So in the terminal, if you want to have multicolors to differentiate, so this is a best one to use. It's pretty much a lot of people are using that. And that's one thing. Okay, let's quickly see that what we are doing in this Chalk. This is the rest of the this logger, the middleware. It is Morgan is the one which you are logging. What we are logging? We are logging that method. What was the method? Whether it was get or put or post, and what was the endpoint URL? What was the status which we are sending? What is the content length? What is the response time? Okay, that's what we are doing. And coming back here, here is this. We are loading this configuration. Okay, then we are having middleware here. Okay, we are having this middleware here. So now that it is little bit of configuration is done, let's quickly come back here and hook up the middleware here. So we are using this Morgan middleware. That's one middleware, and other middleware what we will use is will come and use, because we know that we have to use it. So I will grab it now itself instead of grabbing it later point of time. We will have another middleware. What we need is the we need this express JSON. Okay, and the web API, whatever we created app, I don't like that. So we don't want any vars to be declared. So let's come back and make this into constant, and we'll use strict. Okay, so the next thing is that is let's give some space between the imports, and here is where we are initializing the application. So I'm creating the application. I'm calling this as a web API, and that will go and get modified in all these places. Web API and web API and web API. A little bit of rework, but we are fixing all the problems now, because we had given a lot of fundamentals. We put in a lot of fundamentals. Now I think all is well. Cool. Anything did we miss? Nothing. So we had we have the imports, and then we have created this Express app, and these are a couple of other imports. Let me take this guy above. Okay, so those are imports. Now here we starting the creating the instance of the application, and we are loading the configuration. Then we are starting with the middlewares, and these are the routes. We'll clean up routes in a minute, but let's quickly go and start. npm start. Okay, good. Morgan logger is not defined. Yes, I didn't import. It's my problem. So I'm giving one line difference between this framework libraries and the custom one, whatever we are importing. Okay, now I will come in here and let me click on the send. And then you can come and see this. It says that, okay, it was a get method. The endpoint was /API. What was the status? Now I go to the post and I click on this. Now you can see this. The method was post and the endpoint was /book/API. And what was ID? What was the content? What was the response time? Suppose if I want to come to get all, or it makes sense to use this one, get by ID, because we already seen that. And let's see this post, and let's hit the delete. So now having this Morgan logger, we can find out, we can track back what was the user hitting, what endpoints is hitting, and what statuses we are sending, and what statuses we are sending, and what did it come out. Okay, so that's very important for us. Okay, that we tackled it. So let's go grab now split this app into two different pieces. So we are doing everything piece by piece. So now initially we started with only app.js, and then we started with config, then we routes, when middleware. Now let's start with controllers also. We have controllers, and I will create the persistence. I am little bad in spelling, so I love to copy paste. Okay, persistence, and I want the models, right? Did we miss anything? We have config, we have controllers, we have middleware, we have models, we have persistence, we have routes, and this one. Okay, cool. So now what we will do is quickly we will spend 2 minutes time. We'll do little bit of formatting here, and then we will fly with colors. Okay, so what are we doing between these two files? Because right now we are very small, we will understand this and then we'll go. So here in app.js, what are we doing? We are creating that express application is getting initialized, and we are adding those middlewares, and we are adding routes. Apart from that, we are doing nothing here in this. And if you come and see in the server, we are loading this env, and also we are starting the db connection also. We'll do the db connection first. Let's split the work between app.js and server.js. Okay, so let's have these responsibilities to these guys. So let me start the server.js, add it here, server.js. Oh, server.js should be inside the source. Okay, cool. So what are we doing in this server.js? The first thing is we will add we'll add this line. Before that, ensure that use strict. Okay, we add that, and then these two lines, and then we need to come and where's that .NET? The configuration is here. Okay, we'll move the configuration to server here. Okay, the configuration has been loaded in the server. And what do we do here? We do only the middleware. We just create this, and the Morgan logger also we will have in the app. But if you see this here, it's only it loads the configuration, connects to the DB, and starts the server. It starts the server only if you are able to connect to the DB. If not, it throws this exception and it will stop. Okay, so that's the deal. So let's do the same thing before we proceed any further. So we are having those middlewares, and we have started this. We did this middleware. We don't need this because we are already doing that job in the server.js. Okay, cool then. So we come back to this server.js. At this point, we loaded this configuration also, and in this port also we'll start it from here. These things, whatever we are listening at this point of time, this we will move it there, so that now the app.js can be individually unit tested. If you start the server there, then you need to hit the live server. If it is not starting the server, that means all these can be individually testable code. So that's what we are doing it there. Okay, we came in here, we have created a web API that should be below this because these are framework one. And then we are loading everything. I think all is well. Let's quickly test that. Did we split properly? Okay, I'm sorry. The startup in the package, it should be server.js. Here it should be server.js instead of app.js, because that's where we are splitting. So it comes. Okay. Web API listen. Okay, why? So we did this express. We didn't export this. We didn't export that web API. We need to do that exporting of this web API. So when you split this work, the last statement is this. You need to export that module so that this module can be imported in this server. So that's the thing which we missed it. Okay, now it is listening on 5003. So you can come and see that it's listening to 5003. Now our application has been beautifully split into multiple places, even into multiple files. So each has got his own responsibility. So if you see that app, it it's purely from the routing perspective and from the middleware perspective, and server is the one which goes and talks to the DB, MongoDB. So now next piece what we will do is let's connect to the MongoDB. Okay, for that we need models. So let's go grab this one by one and we'll build our big piece. So I create this book model, right mouse click and add a new file. I create this book model, and then let's grab this guy and put it here. Okay, so some of the places will see errors, but we will fix it, don't worry about that. So if you see that we are getting this mongoose, and that is again a package, npm package, so which is the guy responsible for talking to MongoDB. Okay, that's over here. Mongoose is a MongoDB object modeling tool. Okay, so that's there. So we are creating this mongoose, and we are creating this schema, and then we are creating the book model, and that should have all the properties which have it in item inside that books collection. So author, title, date of publish, language, and read. And in some of the framework, if you see in C Sharp, we do is model validation we do inside our controller. So here also we can do that. That we will see next. Okay. Now what is happening here is we are creating the author, and here we are defining that the type is string and whether this particular property is required, mandatory or not. And here the date of publish, it's again the type is date, required is true. What is the default value? Okay, we are giving some default values also. And again we are exposing this mongoose model. And the next piece is how do you do validation. There are multiple model validation frameworks are there. If you come here, uh, mongoose model validators. Okay, there are a lot of validators. If you go and check this npm packages, there are different packages. I mean, again, it's a personal choice, as well as proper research on which of the package is being used by many other developers around the world. So one of the package is this guy at the rate happy joy is one which does this model validation. I mean, there are other validators also. I don't, as I was mentioning initially, there are multiple ways to do. We are doing one of the ways. It's not the only way to do it. Okay, so there are this happy joy is there, json joy converter, lot of other things are there. So this is one of the package, npm package, we have it. So we will follow this happy joy is there. A lot of, you can see this, lot of things are there. Happy joy is there, different items are there. So again, we have to do a proper research. So which one is having the most widely used and other things. If you see in our previous search, you can see this number of weekly downloads is this, and who is supporting, when did they push this package. So a lot of things will come into consideration. In some of the case, even though it is having less number of things, they might be catering our needs. If you see this is 7-digit weekly downloads. Okay, and when did they publish? They did one push 2 days ago. So a lot of things will come into picture before you choosing a package. Like there might be a package which is pretty old and rest of the world is using, but some guy would have written a package which exactly matches your requirement. Now you need to carefully do the decision. Now it's like a trade-off. If you use the other package, you are not able to achieve the task, but if you use this new package, you're able to achieve the task. But you need to do a careful decision. What if that guy start supporting and there's a bug? Okay, so if you start thinking, we need to scratch our head. So I will stop worrying about all those things. But that's what the some tips I just wanted to give you before choosing any package. You need to ensure that to validate all those things. So let's quickly go grab this guy and drop it here. So this is the okay, we need to spend 1 minute time in this mongoose. 1 minute we'll spend here, not much. So if you see this schema, so it sees that we are doing the same thing. It imports from Mongoose and it creates a schema. And in the schema, we define what all the fields which are there. And then we'll export the schema. And then we'll start saving this documents and everything. Okay, that's the initial thing which we did. If you see this schema, we created exactly a similar schema. We did this and we did an export. Okay, I'm just keeping those URLs for handy purpose, but we'll mostly focus in a practical oriented one. So again, we come back here and we are saying that inside this joy validator, what is this string type, whether it is required or not. Okay, we are saying, but here I'm not telling that date is required. I'm telling that here author and title is required. If you come and see the book model, see author and title is required. So, and date of publish is also required, but I'm not validating that there. But I'm telling that date of publish is date, and the language is of string type. And did you read that book? Boolean. But for the purpose of this demo, we are validating only these two things. If we don't send author or title, this will not go through. Okay, cool. We have this. That being said, we need to work on that persistence. So what is that persistence? It's my own, I'm using this, it's for my personal choice that I use this word. Persistent is where the DB context. If you come from the C# world, we create the DB context there. Here it's like a Mongo helper where we go and connect to the database. So I am moving that responsibility to this file. And let's copy paste here, and let's see what we are doing is we are connecting this to Mongoose. And then we are invoking this, we are creating this function, connect to MongoDB, where we are mongoose.connect. And here this MongoDB connection, which is coming from this env file, and we need to pass these two parameters. If is error, that means if it is not able to connect, then it will come error connecting to cloud, and it will throw that error. Else it will say that DB connection was successful. It shows that. So that's being said, let's come back and do the hooking in our server. Okay, so the same as we did in our previous example. Let's go and start with the server. Let's have this DB helper. I am creating this DB helper here. And after DB helper, we will go and grab this guy. And okay, we will move this code just for a moment. Bear with me. We'll move, actually we should move this listening to this inside this. So at this point of time, let's try connecting to the MongoDB. Okay, dot connect to MongoDB. Okay, and that's returning asynchronous code, so we can use this then function and catch function. So let me grab this then and catch function. After connecting, we should grab this. So I don't need this code here, and I need this port only if I'm able to connect to that. It doesn't make sense having that variable at top. So now what we are doing is we are trying to connect to this database, and once it gets connected to the database, and that's when we will go and start the server. I think something is wrong. Something is really wrong, because hold on. npm start. It should not come this. It should not come into this, because the MongoDB, it didn't connect to the MongoDB. Before connecting to the MongoDB, it should not come. So where did we miss? It should not come. That's wrong. That is wrong. Okay, I said this to dot persistence MongoDB helper. I took that, and then Oh, sorry. I was modifying the wrong place. I'm modifying the wrong place. I'm sorry for that. So let's grab this server code and drop it here and check what are we doing in the server code. Okay, we don't need this because that will spit the information. It's just this, and I will move this line inside. That should be const. The port will be const, and that is wrong. That is wrong. Okay, so let's see that what is happening. It is coming here. We said connect to MongoDB, and we come and connect it to this one. We're going in here and yes, we are closing it there. We're calling it await. That's done. And that's in async, and we're coming in here. So 1 second. Why is that? 1 second, guys. Let's check that. It should not do that. See this, it should start the MongoDB, then only it should enable this. So something I'm doing wrong. Something I'm really doing wrong here. So that's the reason it is not starting. It's doing the reverse way. It's coming out of that asynchronous code and starting the server, which it should not do that. When I'm here, it should connect it. And once that connection is done, then only it should come. So let's see that. I mean, at this point of time, we are running short of time. We can get going, but but that's the correct behavior. Whatever is happening here, this is the correct. This is the correct behavior which is happening in my previous solution. In whatever is happening in this previous solution, this is the correct one. I will check that why it is not happening in our solution. I'll fix that, no problem. Okay, so let's get going. Okay, so we have this. Let's give a one round and see that did we miss anything. Okay, let's grab this guy, entire MongoDB helper, and let's remove, and let me put everything in this MongoDB. Let me stop this. Okay, after that, let me come to server.js, and inside this server.js, let me grab the entire server.js, and I did that. I did that server.js, and in here let's run this. If it is not working, then we will leave, and I'll come back to you on that. Okay, it's not working. No problem. That should be fine. Instead of we wasting time, let's fix it on the way when we go. Okay, cool then. So let's go grab this and check that we have loaded. We don't need this constant variable. Okay, we don't need this, and this should be inside this, and that's it. This should be event number. Okay, cool then. Let's leave it at this position, because what is important is we are able to connect to the cloud. Okay, so we have models, we have routes. So the next thing we'll focus on the routes. So if you come and see from the routes perspective, let's go grab this routes here, and we will discuss what we are doing in here. So if I paste it here, routes. So here we are creating this express, and we need the books controller also. Let's paste the books controller, and then we'll start on that. Let's create the books controller. We'll do one by one. Okay, cool. So now if you see that, so here we are getting this express, and we are getting this books controller, and we are creating the routes function. To that we will accept books as a parameter. Okay, we'll accept books as a parameter there. And here we are creating the router, and we are initializing the books controller. So where is this books controller? Books controller is here, and again that's a function, and which is accepting a book as a parameter. Now what happens is we are creating this. For the time being, let's forget about that. Let's come here and let's focus on these two. So we'll focus on these two things, and again we'll revisit about these three in next 5 minutes. So what is happening is, in the this route, in here we have seen that the post is slash books and get all is slash books. This is one pattern, and the other pattern is get book by id, uh, put as well as delete is another pattern. So we have split into two different patterns. So first let's focus on this one. So this is to add a record, this is to get all records. And here if you see that another pattern where we have book slash book id. So in this case what happens is we are using the middleware, because if you want to get a book by id, first thing we should go and check, validate whether the book exists. If book exists, send that book. If not, throw 404. And put, you will do the same thing. First you will check whether the book exists. If you want to modify a book, that book should exist. So first you will go and check whether the book exists. If book exists, then you will go and update it, else you will send 404. The delete is also same. So instead of copy pasting this code in 4 different locations, what we are doing is we have created a middleware and we have given the route url. Whenever this route is there, first what we will do, from that book we go and find that book, and based on the params.book id. So in the parameters, if that book id comes, so we will check that book id. Else we will, if some error occurs due to some reason, if some error occurs while connecting to the mongo or network blip, we'll throw 500. Else if the book exists, then we will return the book and we'll call the next. That means in the middleware, you have to, when you're creating your own middleware, you have to definitely call the next function. If you don't call the next function, that stalls the request. It will not complete the request and everything will get stalled there. So if nothing is working, you'll send 404. So similarly in the books controller, if you see that post, what are we doing is we are doing some kind of validations. First thing is we are checking whether the request whatever you have sent is valid. If it is not valid, then we will send 400 bad request. Okay, and again we are going and find a book based on the author and title, based on the author, title and language. I mean, this is my own fictitious validation. It's not a production validation. I'm telling that if an author with the same title with the same language exists, that means I'm marking it as a book already exists. If the similar book exists, again I'm saying that 400 bad requests, record already exists. If nothing is there, we are creating a record and sending 201. And if some error occurs while writing it into the mongo, we are returning 500. And get all is we are doing fine without any filtration. And the same thing which we have seen in the mongo portal, the filtering they were doing like this. Okay, if there is some books, we are sending 200. If nothing is there, we are sending 400. On exception, we are sending 500. And now see that book by id, get book by id is pretty sleek, because in the router we used a middleware, and this middleware is doing all heavy lifting. Whether any exception happens, it gives 500. If the book exists, it is adding it into the request.book. It is adding this, and in the response we are sending 404 if the book doesn't exist. So there is nothing we do here in the good book get book by id, because when get book by id calls, the router calls here, and the router is invoking the controllers.get book by id. Now it comes in here. When it comes in here, the middleware will take this request, it will process, and it will attach the book here. If you see that, it is attaching the book to the request. Request.book is equal to book. So that request.book is equal to book. That means that book will be available if at all the request is coming in here, because when it was able to successfully find that book, we are calling the next. That means now the control will come to this here, and it will definitely have the book in place, so it will not do anything. And here also, if you see that update book or delete book, it definitely, if the book exists and the next is called in the middleware, that means book definitely comes here. I can blindly go and update. Similarly, if you see the delete, in this delete, edit, and book by id, get book by id, we didn't do anything. All we did is we just go depend upon this middleware which is there in the router. Okay, so here we create this books controller and we are calling respective methods. So we have 5 methods in the books controller. You can quickly see. I'll minimize this. One is for post, one is for get, and one is get by id, one is update book by id, delete book by id. We have this 5, and we are returning this 5 and exporting the books controller. And when you come to this books router, what we are doing in the books router, we are using one middleware, and we have 2 pattern urls. One is books, where we go and get the post and get, and one is books/book id, where we go get book, update book, and delete book. So that's it. So that being said, we need to fix one small thing. We need to fix this app, and then we will start validating and start integrating with Angular UI. So I go grab this everything from here and put it in app. These are, I just want to ensure that Express is on top, and these are our own validators. And I added this because instead of spending time there, it's better, let's do it here. Okay, cool. Then everything is here. So all we are doing is we are hooking up the middlewares and we are hooking up the routers. Nothing we are doing there. And let's come to the server. Let me delete this guy and go grab the server and paste it here. Perfect. And that being said, we don't want this. And let me reorganize that. This is coming from the packages, and this is our own files. So there's a clear-cut differentiation. And this also, I just want to move this inside. I don't need that variable if it is not starting. Okay, cool then. So let's start npm start. For some reason, this is not working. I did some mistake somewhere. I will find out. Okay, so now the connection has been established. Now let's go in here. If I do books, so that goes and brings in all the books from the Mongo. So you can see that now the content length is 952 bytes, and it took 249 milliseconds because this API is running on my box, and that MongoDB is running in cloud somewhere in the United States. It has to get the content from 7,000 miles. Obviously, it's taking time. Cool then. So now that we have established all these things, I can quickly walk you through without saving, because I just wanted to create this so that I can build up the case. Why do we need Postman collection and all those things? Okay, that's for that reason we created it. So let's quickly test all these endpoints from in here. I already created this. I have this request. So this we will see. We will see that will go grab. Okay, what is that URL? Okay, it's 4,000. So let me bring it back to 4,000 because I'm changing the env. I need to stop. I'm coming to this router and I'm changing that to 4,000. What was that? Endpoint? Endpoint is 4,000. Okay, cool. Cool. The endpoint is 4,000. So we can quickly validate all those things here. So this is the default route. And this is get all books. It shouldn't have that parameter. Okay, get all books. and get book by ID. So let me go grab this guy here and paste it. Okay, get book by ID. Now you want to save a new book. So I'm creating a book, and again I'm passing the same book. It says that see, with the same title, the book already exists. Okay, so if I don't send author, so that's again a bad request. It says that author is required. So all those validations we have seen. So we have seen that the field required and the duplicate record and other things. We have seen that. Suppose if I want to go grab this guy Param, where is he? Okay, here is Param. So I come in here and go grab this. Param's record is here. So let's update Param. I go grab this guy. Let's see in body. I'm sending data of publish. Red is false. What is this here? Red is false. So I make red to true. I make this red to true. Okay. So let's execute. And it said that 200. Now I can go back and check that Param's. Did he read? Did I read this book? It was false. Now if I see, that is true. Okay. So now I can come to delete, and let me delete the Param's record, which I just created now. That's gone, and I can come in and check that it says 404. So all the scenarios, whatever we do it as part of the UI integration, we have tested everything. Okay, that's pretty cool. So now what we will do is, now let's do the integration with Angular UI. So let me go in here and ng-new. Okay. Bookstore web app. I need routing. I need CSS. It's bringing in here. Okay. So while this is bringing in, let's see how we have organized this. How we have organized the UI. So UI has been organized in different fashion. It's in components. So in the components, what we are doing is we are having this add book. Each of the page or each of the visual look and feel has been created as a separate component. So you can see this top nav bar, side nav bar, and the page not found, footer, edit is one page, delete is one page, dashboard, book list, add book. So all these individual pieces, moving pieces, has been created as a separate components. And where is this all getting hooked up? We'll see that one by one while that is happening. So here we have interfaces. One interface we are using this DTO. Where I'm not passing the ID which is getting generated here in the book ID, book DTO, where we are using it for retrieval piece, and this is for the add one. And we'll come back and revisit the services. Let's hold on for a moment, and we have to discuss on the routing. So routing, what routes we will use. By default, if you don't send anything, it should go to dashboard. If I don't send any URL and go to the root of this application, it should go to the dashboard. And if I say add books, it should show that add book. If it is books, it should show the list. If I say delete book, passing this parameter, it should load this delete component book. If it is edit book / given this book, it should edit this book. and if I give any other route, it should send me to the page not found. Okay, that's from the routing perspective. And from the module perspective, we will load all these pages here, import this, and put it as part of the declaration, so that rest of the things can reuse this one. And we have that app routing model, we are adding it here. Okay, that's a key thing. And here, because it is actually, I should have organized this, it's my mistake, I didn't do it. Because if you see this app module, it looks pretty ugly. I'm loading the shared components, and I'm loading the component which belongs to main app, and I'm loading the components which belongs to the book module. So it's like Sarvaroga Nivarni. I'm doing everything in this module, which is not acceptable. It should be routing in different things. So I did it in a different demo. I'll show it in some other demo, but it will have their own components, and we will organize those folders. So at that time, each module will have its own routing and its own module, app module. Like you have this app module, similarly it should have shared dot module dot ts, shared hyphen routing dot module dot ts, and similarly it should have book dot module dot ts and book hyphen routing dot module dot ts. So now what happen is, these things will get moved into those respective modules, and it gets loaded. So that's the thing which we will do. At least I will improvise this and check in the code in future. Okay, that's being said, well, let's come and see these services. So inside the service, I mean, we can pretty much come and put it here in this environment, and access that environment from the services. But I just wanted to keep it simple, I hard coded it here. I can very well put it here and do some other configuration, but I'm going little slow on this one. Okay, and this is provided in root. That means this service is accessible across, and we are having this importing this http client. Dependency injection is happening over here, and everything is rxjx observable. So we do http client, will invoke that method, and that base url we are invoking, and it gives us this all the rows we will send it across. And similarly, get by id, and add books, edit books, remove books. And this is a generic error handler for anywhere. If there is an error, we will send this across. And the key thing is, wherever we are invoking this methods, we have to see that here the book service is being dependency injected, and retrieve all books, and book service dot get all books. And because that's giving the observable, we will subscribe this. And I mean, a lot of error handling and other things has to be improvised, but I am keeping this demo to the simple thing. So it returns that, and we are saying that whatever the data it returns should be of iBook DTO, that is of this interface type. iBook DTO, that is of this interface type. So that's what we do it. Okay, so I think now the UI have baked it. Okay, cool, the UI is baked in, and we'll do a couple of things in this, not much, and then we will start. What was the port in which this is running? Okay, that's running in port 4000. Okay, so we'll use 5000 series for this. Okay, so what we will do is, we'll go in here, line 65 or somewhere. Okay, serve. Okay, we'll use 5000 series for this. That's one change. So let's do npm start. Oh, it created another folder. Ow. So we go here. One minute, let me go there. Yeah, that's what it created a new folder. God. I'll grab this guy outside. I don't need this. So that fixed it. Problem. npm start. Okay. So we'll change the face of this UI in next 20 minutes, real quick. Uh, but every step, whatever we are doing, I'll explain. I mean, we'll do that, and then we'll get the code and copy paste, because if we type, it takes 7 to 8 hours. So the best thing will be, first we will create those components. That's when we'll understand what is happening, how we are hooking up everything. Okay, I just want to keep this here. I'll keep it separate. Okay, that's good. Okay, it's here. Cool. So something what we have to do is we have to grab some of the NuGet packages here. So I just want to quickly do that before we proceed further. So come here, and this dependencies are there. Dev dependencies are there. So I think dev dependencies are all good. So let's check what is missing from the dependencies perspective. So we are using Angular JX is there. That's we have router, and all the way from this bootstrap till what? Till RxJX. Okay, we need this. So I drop in here, and then dev dependencies. If you see that dev dependencies, let's check that dev dependencies. We have all the way till TypeScript. That's it. Okay, cool. So the dev dependencies is all good. Okay, npm I. So let it grab all those six, and then we will do some little modifications over here in Angular JSON. So that's our step 2. So we'll come to this Angular JSON, and one thing we already modified is the port on which it should run. That will be somewhere around 65 to 70 line. It will be in this builder options, where we can go and add the custom port instead of having our regular 4002. Guys, I'm sorry, I have water. Okay, so now as we are grabbing this style sheets, so we have to do this change, style sheets and scripts, because we are using this guy bootstrap. So we'll create, I don't tell this a beautiful one, but to a decent extent it's decent one. Okay, that styles we have added, and the scripts. So some of the apps, if you see, that goes and adds this to the bottom of this index.html. If you see that at the bottom, they go and add these 3 scripts, jQuery, Popper, and bootstrap.js, and these things they add it at the header. So this is a best thing to do. So now the framework, we are offloading this job to the framework to take care. Okay, that guy will take care, and that guy will take care. And let's see that are we able to run our application now. npm start, and let's give it a minute, and then we will create those components. And some of the tips and tricks will get embedded in this session. I mean, if it is a tips and tricks, or is it like a pain point, or whatever it is. I mean, I learned it. I feel those are like a tips and tricks. Okay, so now what we will do is, we don't want this default one. Let's come and nuke this everything. Ensure that you're not nuking the last one, the router at the bottom. Ow, come on. Okay, except this, everything should be nuked. Okay, except this, everything should be nuked. Okay, cool, that's gone. That's pretty good. So what we can do is, we can open another instance of this terminal. Now we want to generate those files. So what we will do is we'll generate those files one by one. Okay. So for the timing, let's keep this interfaces and service. We'll come and revisit that in a moment. Let's add step by step. Okay. Now I'll come in here and okay, let me make some space. Okay, cool. So ng generate components slash add book. Okay, so now when I generate, you can see that by default it comes and it creates all these files necessary, and it's take care of rest of the things, all rest of the things to add it into the app module. Only the routing piece which we need to maintain, but this it takes care. So that's what we will follow and start creating rest of the things. Okay, I will minimize this and let's go grab one by one. So now the book list. So up arrow key, come on. Up arrow key and book list. Okay, that's done. And the dashboard. Let's create the dashboard. And let's create the delete book. Okay, that's good. Oh, don't think that I'm pricing myself good, in the sense things are working. That's a good. Delete book is done. Now let's do an edit book. I think we might stretch little because we are covering a lot of concepts and it's like a workshop. We are building everything from scratch. So now footer. Let's create this footer. Okay, all the components are getting created. That's pretty good news. And let's page not found. That component is done. Two more components, bear with me. Side navbar. And this, believe me, this is the last component. I'll copy paste those interfaces and services, because anyway we have seen those, just to speed up the time, so that we can stitch rest of the story. So let me go to this guy and rightmost click, reveal in Explorer, and come in here, and inside that app I have interfaces and services. So bookstore app here inside the app. Yep, I will paste it here so that we have those things ready for us. Then we can start stitching. Okay, so I think we have everything what we needed. Okay, so let's start stitching in now. So if you see this app component, at this point of time, we don't have anything much except that if you come back to this shell, it is here, and the page is here. Okay, so we don't see anything. That's good, pretty good. So one small change we do, and step by step we'll see now everything get built in front of our eyes. So I will just take this piece and I'll paste it. So then we'll see that. I mean, it doesn't bring any UI, but we'll know the step. What is happening is we are having a top bar, and we are having a div container fluid. That means 100% of the width, and having a row. And I'm dividing that into two columns for the sidebar, and rest I'm having it for, oh, it doesn't match. It should be 10. Okay, it should be 12. It should be 3 plus 9, but let's keep it. I'll make this 10. It should be 12. Okay, so here is the main screen, and here is the footer. So let's go and see. Okay, so we are seeing something. There is a top nav bar, and there is a side nav bar, and there should be a dashboard. And what we will do is we will quickly go grab the routing, so that routing, and then we can start seeing the benefits. Routing and page not found, we don't need that component. So I will grab all these guys from here, and add it to our routing. Let's add this to our routing. Okay, we have added this routing. One more small piece let's steal is we'll go grab this. It's not from here, it's from here. Okay, so what we will do is we'll bring the page not found. So let's see that functionality. So I'll copy this page not found and go drop it in here. Okay, so the page not found is there, and we need to bring in assets. Assets in the sense I'll come in here and in the source. Come on. Okay, in the source I have assets. Let me grab this guy, and I'll go to the source and I'll go to this assets and I'll drop it here. Okay, that's good. Are we still on? Okay, we are on. So let me come in here. So if I don't give anything, it comes to the dashboard. If I try to do dashboard version 1, it shows 404 page not found. So I click on home, I come back to the home page. So now we understand the routing, how routing happens and how each individual pieces are getting loaded. So he's the guy who's the main guy whose app component is loading. So if you compare that, each of this build, the top nav bar is being loaded here, and the side nav bar is being loaded here, and the router, that means all the rest of the pages will load on the 10 columns apart from these 2 columns which has been given to the side nav bar. 10 columns we are occupying that, and then what is happening is the footer is getting here. Okay, so let me steal some css also. That's make our life easy. We can start seeing the fruits. Okay, let me grab. Okay, let me grab that here and styles. Okay, so styles has been added. So let's start doing stuff now. Okay, now you see this side number started showing up. The visual look and feel. I mean, once everything is done, we can see that there are no errors here and there. So that's second part of the story. But let's start building up. So we need this top nav bar. So let's go grab this guy, top nav bar. We don't have anything in the CSS, and we don't have anything here. All we have is the markup. So let's get this markup and drop it in this top nav bar. Okay. Abracadabra. So we have the top nav bar. Okay. So next thing what we will steal is we'll steal the footer. So let's come back here. The footer. Oh, Jesus, we are here. Okay. So we have footer, we have side nav bar, we have dashboard. That's good. So let's steal the dashboard. I mean, the key thing, I think you guys are understanding how the UI elements are being constructed individually. So that gives full control. If I have to work on footer, I don't need to touch any other file. If I have this footer and side nav bar or footer with some other content, if I mix it in a single component, that means that component is worrying of two different things. Like one tablet you're having for fever and stomachache. No, we need 2 separate tablets, right? So let's go grab this dashboard. So pretty much it's a markup stuff. I close this guy, and this is only one file. I'll drop it, guys. The rest everything will copy paste there. I mean, just for us to see that. Wow, you're done. See this beautifully. We have come in here. The side nav bar is there. We have a bookstore. We have a menu option. We have dashboard, and we have routing in all the places. If I come in here, it comes and it comes in. See this? I'm coming to the dashboard. I'm going to the books route. There's a separate module. I can navigate from here. I can navigate from here, or I can navigate from here. Okay, let me open up this just to ensure that we are not blowing off anywhere. So there are no errors anywhere. Right? So I'll minimize this. So we have our template. So that being said, rest of the things I think we can do a literal copy paste so that we can speed up the stuff. And again, we'll see the integration points. We'll never miss any integration points or any tips and tricks and all those things. But let's speed up. Go grab this guy. I'm getting this add book, book list, delete book, edit book. Did I miss anything? No, I think so. That's it. So let's get it here and go grab this guy. Replace. Now. Okay. So, okay, that's an exception for sure. So, console. Uncaught. Okay, HTTP client. Okay, that means we forgot to inject in the app module. Let's fix that. Let's fix that. நாளைக்கு இன்னைக்கு வேண்டாம். So some of these modules we forgot to inject. So let's do a comparison and fix our module. So if you are, it clearly shows that the reactive form module as well as this HTTP client module we forgot. So let me quickly go grab that and fix up our problems. So here we have only browser module and app routing module. So we need to grab these two guys. App routing and browser. I grab this way. That will be easy for me. And do a squiggly dot, control dot, import those things at the top. And I just would like to keep the differentiation between the package imports and it's a personal choice. There is no hard and fast rule that you need to do. Now this gives more visibility, like what is getting imported from packages, and if you have an alphabetical order also, like A, B, C, D, E, F in this alphabetical order, it makes my life easy. If I create any component with C, I know that where exactly should I inject. If I do it in a haphazard fashion, I don't know whether I have imported it once or twice. Seriously. So that's what we do it. So I mean, it's all a personal choice. Again, there's no hard and fast rule. My personal choice is I'll separate this package from coming from framework versus the one which we are creating on our own. And also another thing is importing in alphabetical order, so that we exactly know that what components has been installed, and if you want to import something, where we can import it. Okay, it's all personal choice. As I was mentioning, this like a tips and tricks. Okay, so you see this and you click on edit, you coming in here. Okay, it didn't work. So now edit, it didn't work. I'm coming back and delete. No, it didn't work. So it is not giving an error also. Let's debug. That should be fine. So this is to add a new one. So first, let's investigate why it is. I will close this. When we click on edit, what is happening? Let's see that. Our server is running. Let's make this a bigger one. Okay. First, let's go and status 304. Why? Okay. What are we sending? What are we sending? I think which is not matching with the route. I'm sending this. This is the URL. If I see that, go and put it in a Postman. This gives us a clear picture. Okay. It is giving me 200, but in fact, here, okay. is giving me the 200. Then what is missing? Oh, the server side TS files. Oh, yeah, we copied the TS files too. Because one second, if I come to this edit book, we have dropped it. See that we have this code. Yes, we have it. So let's do one more try. npm start. Let's give it a minute. Let it start. Oh, it should throw if it is something is missing. I am sure we are not missing anything. Let me check that one more time. Should not have overconfidence. Right, it has got only these modules. Everything. Okay. Yeah, now it is coming. So it didn't pick up those files, even though we copied it. It didn't pick up those files. I just want to keep it a little low. Just it will flash if at all there is some error. Okay. Suppose who's the guy? We is the new author. So I just click on edit and new author version 2. I click on save, and that goes and modifies this new author. So we can correspondingly we can come and verify that whatever the put method we did it, and the status was 200, and then it is coming in here, and I will go and delete this guy. And if I don't, I change my mind, I come back and I want to delete, I click on this and delete, and that went ahead. And I just wanted to ensure that we are not erroring out anywhere, so we can keep this console open. Okay, now I will come in here, new title and new author, and I'll select the date of publish is today, and language is oh, mean doesn't look good, but anyways, we have added this new author, and again we can go with the same cycle of going and modifying this and saving it. So step by step. So let's quickly recap what did we do today. So today we saw the Mongo, the NoSQL has been hosted in cloud, and then it was a very good use case that my IP address was changed. My IP address has changed, and that's the reason we immediately came and we tested that piece of the code where it goes and checks if at all it's able to connect it to the MongoDB. If not, it doesn't start the server. And we added that, and we saw how do we create a user, and we once you expose your credentials, you go and delete that user and again go and recreate it. And that's one thing. And next thing is we have seen collections and databases and collections, and we saw that UI supports adding, editing, copy, delete, and all those CRUD operations from there itself. And then we started our life, start creating the web API. And we started creating the web API. Initially, we created app. We did npm init, and that's when we created a app.js, and we executed app.js with Node. And then we wanted to modify. We modified something, and then it didn't pick up. So that's when we installed Nodemon, so to monitor these files, and we started making modifications. And due to the testability and the separation of concerns, we have given some of the responsibilities to app and some responsibility to server.js. And then we started using the config file. so the config file is env, where that env file we can have a lot of configurations, and it picks up. And that env file was pretty much in parallel to the package JSON, in parallel to the package JSON. And then what did we do is we moved that env to the config, and then we learned how to load it. So whenever we move it, we learn that we need to do this kind of things. You have to tell that package that where is this env file, what env file. It's not that you always need to have that .env. You can have manish.env or muhammadazim.env or shiva.env. You can have any name. It's just a file name, sorry. And then we saw something about the middleware, and I really like this Morgan and Chalk, and that pretty much we are seeing the benefits of that. Sorry. And the next thing is we saw this model, and we started creating the mongoose models and schema validation. Happy joy, there are a lot of other schema validations are there. And then we created this persistent folder which is connecting, and then we split the entire logic into controllers and routes. And another good thing what we saw in the routes is we saw we are using the middleware for one pattern, because get by id, edit by id, delete by id, all has got this piece common, isn't it? You send an if you want to delete or edit or retrieve that by id, first the record should exist. If it is existing, it will give the record. If not, it should say 404. So that is common for all these three things. It might be common for other things also, but base minimum it is common for these three endpoints. So it makes sense to move this to a middleware, so that any of this route, this is a mandatory piece. So that's what we did it. And we tested this, and next we came to started creating this Angular app. And how did we progress? So Angular app we just created using that Angular CLI, and we were able to execute it. And then slowly we went into this Angular JSON and modified the port number. So whatever the port you want, we are executing with that particular port. And then we added those NuGet packages and modified these styles and scripts. We did that. And the third step, what we did is we have copy pasted few of those styles, which is globally applied across all the pages. And then we saw what is this app module and what is this routing. And then what did we do is we executed quite a few commands through the shell, where it goes and creates nicely inside those components and hook it up into the app module. And then we started removing the code from the main app component, and we placed this one. And when we went, nothing was there. Everything was plain. And then we started creating the top navbar, and then we started creating the side navbar. When we started creating the footer, then we created the dashboard, and we understood the routing piece. Okay, how the routing is happening. And then we pasted all those add the CRUD operations for this bookstore. And then suddenly the application started blowing off. And the reason was we didn't add this client module as well as the reactive module. Once that is done, everything is there. And we created the interfaces, one for adding and one for retrieval. And we have the services. And inside the service, we have invoked that HTTP client. Okay. And that's it. So we did see that. I think sometime next I will take a detailed session to we'll develop something else, some other application, and then we will cover the unit test cases from Jest perspective as well as from the Angular perspective. So we'll use Jest for nodes unit test, and we'll use Jasmine and TypeScript for Angular unit test cases. We'll see next month. We'll see if a slot will talk on that. And this is pretty much a decent thing where we can see the coverage. And you can see there will be a coverage folder. Let me go to that. Where is that folder? Reveal. the coverage folder, and I can go and get into this. So this will give me pretty much detail what all the things which are passed and how much coverage we can get into that files also. See that which lines has been covered, which lines has not been covered, and everything. Okay, so that's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for joining, and I really appreciate your time on weekend. Back to you,
Yeah.
Sundar.
Uh, yes, Swami. So I think that was a good session actually. So thanks for it. It was a good hands-on on the mean stack.
Thanks.
So yeah, I think Kishore Kumar asked the question like, can we have more information on how the database was set up? I think you answered it. Guess maybe you can show him the Mongo Atlas maybe.
Oh yeah, I mean that I can do that creation of this Mongo and at least one endpoint. I can do some session on October where I can cover the just test cases, because I didn't get time to cover just test cases. So yeah, I have to cover just test cases. I have to cover the unit test case for the um, Angular things, and I can include this, and we can spin one more session if it is okay next month, so that I can detailedly show instead of verbally telling something in air. I can create one more fictitious, one more sample account. I can delete it, but I can create in front of everyone eyes, and we'll use those connection string. If does it sound good, uh,
Okay.
Sundar?
Yeah, I
Let's do
think
in detail.
that.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see how we can pick this up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all for today, I guess. So thanks for me once again. So over to you, Sundaram.
Yeah. Thanks, Swami. It was an awesome session, and we all
Thanks.
learned how to build an application from the scratch. And thanks everyone for attending this meetup. Uh, I hope you all found pretty useful, and I hope you will be trying. We will be sharing the GitHub repositories very soon, and this is our meetup group. Please follow this meetup group, so you will be getting instant updates from us. And we have one more update. One of our friend Uday, he is organizing Angular meetup every month. So please consider his meetup group as well. So next month, I just see it seems he is also organizing some events. So please consider to follow his meetup link as well. So thanks for your time for this weekend, and thank you, Swami. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, guys.